Welcome everyone. Once again, this is Albinism Rights Talk, the voice for issues for persons with albinism in Uganda. I'm your host, OHCHR Harrison Joel, and welcome to yet another episode. This particular episode, our topic is synergies and collaborations. And for the past few weeks, we have been engaging relevant stakeholders in regard to issues for persons with albinism. And in this particular segment, we are being joined by Grace. She's part of the team at the UN, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in Uganda. And shortly, she'll introduce herself. For those that may not know what I'm talking about, IAAD or albinism. The International Albinism Awareness Day is actually an event in which we front different issues of awareness about the condition of albinism in Uganda. And it's held every June 13th of every year. It's a mandate, I think, right now. I would say so. So to get you straight into today's topic, let's welcome Grace. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Harrison. My name is Grace Pelly. I'm the Deputy Country Representative at the Office of the High Commissioner here in Uganda. And I've been here since March 2021.
Okay.
And our office works on human rights generally.
Generally, yes.
So we first were invited to Uganda in 2005
Nice.
at the invitation of the government to cover the human rights violations that are being committed in the context of the Lord's Resistance Army insurgency.
Yes.
And then in 2009, our mandate was extended to cover all human rights issues in the country.
So, a small question. How long have you been in Uganda?
Me personally,
As Grace, yes.
just over 2 years.
Ah, okay.
Yes, not long enough.
No, it's okay. So to start with, which kind of, could you tell us more about, you've actually told us what you actually do in Uganda. So I think, should we go back in time or we can just stick to now? Let's say, could you give me specific things that your office does in Uganda?
Certainly.
If it's not just human rights, I believe it's human rights as a whole, global thing. But I know there are those segments you actually handle, like disabilities, like that. Just give us a brief. Yeah.
So we work on 5 thematic pillars. We work on equality and non-discrimination.
Nice.
And that's where I work on persons with albinism.
Okay.
We also work on rule of law and accountability. We work on human rights in sustainable development. So that's more economic, social and cultural rights, which is also relevant. We work on international mechanisms, so the kind of UN architecture of human rights and how Uganda reports to those bodies and uses those standards in its domestic laws.
Yes.
And then we also work on civic space and participation, supporting civil society organizations.
Wow, so those are the 5 thematic areas.
Yes.
So that brings me down to which kind of, or what kind of entities or societies do you actually support?
So we work with both state and non-state actors. So our main partner in Uganda is the Uganda Human Rights Commission.
Okay.
But we work with a number of ministries, departments and agencies. So in this respect, we work very closely with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. We also work with the Uganda Police Force, the UPDF, the prison service, and a range of others. So that's the state partners, but we also have very strong partnerships with civil society organizations, including with Albinism.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I had Uganda police, I even got so much into the whole political thing. But thank you. So you have played, your office, the UN Office of Human Rights, has actually played a very crucial role in the fight and protection of human rights in Uganda. Have you been able to actually achieve results? Like, have you done it? Because we see you on TV, we see the work you've done, we have read reports, we see there's actually progress in what you're doing. But how are you able to achieve results?
So I think, we work at 3 levels.
Yes.
So we work at the sort of political and strategic level.
Yes.
So that's where we try to advise governments on laws and amendments to laws. So most relevantly for this conversation, we supported the amendment of the Persons with Disabilities Act to ensure that albinism is recognised as a category of disability.
Yes.
And what this does, so I think there was some debate over whether it's a disability or not, but the benefit of it is that it means persons with albinism can access government services under that act. So it's very important. The next stage of where we work is at the sort of policy level. So again, relevant for our conversation is that we supported the Ministry of Gender to develop and launch the National Action Plan on Albinism. So again, that's how we achieve results. And then operationally, so this is more kind of grassroots, what happens on the ground. We do awareness raising of human rights issues, and we also monitor and report on the human rights situation. So recently we developed a booklet called Just Like You, which is all about it's dispel myths about persons with albinism and the stigma and discrimination that they face. So that's So those
for this conversation.
Exactly.
Okay. For years, your office has actually supported, should I say, promoted recognition of the rights of persons with disabilities for a number of years now. Actually, so that they actually have inherent dignity, they have actually access to particular things, maybe affirmative action too. And what do you think the future holds for such marginalized groups in Uganda?
I think the challenges are immense because there's never enough resources to go around. But I also think that there's an enormous capacity among state institutions and civil society in Uganda to promote the rights of persons with disability. The Ministry of Gender in this country is very forward-thinking and very committed to persons with disabilities.
Yes.
And so working together with them, between them and civil society organisations, I think they can really take the work forward.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Grace. We have heard from Grace such an insightful conversation with her. And like she says, for this conversation, we shall keep it there. We won't say much. But log into our next episode, still on synergies and collaborations. We shall be participating more with the technical team. Right now, we have talked to Grace, management level. So yes, we know people. We know people as Albinism umbrella. So thank you, Grace, so much for coming to this podcast. We really appreciate. And till next time, for those that haven't subscribed, please, at the bottom of the screen, there is a link. Hit the link and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Harrison Joel. Goodbye.